So then we're rooting around, and I was humming and hawing, and then I suppose this one, I was more thinking of our bass player in Primordial. This is one he goes on about all the time, and I guess this is something of a speed metal, thrash metal classic. It's the first Flotsam and Jetsam album, Doomsday For The Deceiver, you know, which still, I think, is just, I mean, despite the cover,
the funny cover.
I mean, it just hits you like a ton of bricks, you know. Just that, to me, that encapsulates that. What I was never the big sort of Bay Area thrasher. Like, I didn't so much like the Sacred Reichs and Testaments. I liked them ish. I preferred them more breakneck speed, and you know, and in a way, Flotsam was almost the, at least to me, the sort of American style speed compared to the Pleasure to Kills, and the, you know, not quite as rough or black or even death metal, but still just really, really good stuff.
It's funny you mentioned the cover too, because that cover unfortunately tormented Jason Newsted for his entire life. Because as soon as he was in Metallica, they just went on and on and on about this cover, the cheesy cover, and some of the cheesier lyrics on there as well.
Yes.
But yeah, I mean, still classic record. Well, it's funny because, you know, when obviously everybody knows the whole story about, you know, I've known that Kid Lars forever, and they needed a bass player, so I mentioned Mr. Newsted as the guy that probably made sense, and he ended up being in the band, of course. But, you know, one of the reasons why I thought of him at first was because I thought this record just, at that time, was kind of so beyond what a lot of those other bands are doing. And look, I love Sacred Reich and all that stuff as well, obviously, but this record kind of felt more complete, maybe, kind of, because it wasn't just your prototypical thrash thing. It had other elements to it that were kind of interesting and a little bit new. So yeah, I always loved that record. They were really great when we were doing it in the studio. In fact, the drummer Kelly, I think when we finished it up, he had broken his hand and was still playing drums, which, I mean, the drumming on that record is amazing.
Yeah.
Somebody had broken their hand. I think it was Kelly, but it came out really good. It's one of those things we were talking about earlier about stuff that stands the test of time that you can listen to now, that you still go like, that's pretty good. Like Seer the Ungle is a classic example of, like, I think they said it's better now than it was when it first came out.
I mean, I think all these albums, they have that sort of, I suppose there's certain 80s naivety, but which was born of the time, but it gave it character and gave it personality, and also this gonzoid energy, like the exuberance of youth, which sometimes I don't find in most modern metal, because like, you take something like this, I mean, everything about it just says, here's a band that don't second guess. It's just pure youthful exuberance and energy, and, you know, impetuosity of youth, and everybody thinks they're going to be a huge band and just as fast as possible, and, you know.
Well, I think back then too was there was the innocence of it, number one, and also the fact that, you know, everybody that was doing metal at that time did it because they were completely, totally in love with it. There was definitely no, you know, now I think there's a little bit, because so many bands have become popular and metal's kind of a mainstream ish sort of genre now. It's embedded in our culture, where back then it wasn't really there. So it was this really just intense need to be it. You were kind of defying all odds, just being in a band at that point.
It's virgin territory as well.
Yep.
You know, everybody's taking their own baby steps, and some people are fucking up and some people are making huge steps, but everybody's trying to sort of forge out on their own, you know. And that's just a perfect example, I think, of the energy of the time. I still put that on, you know. Sometimes we have like, just play tons of old speed and thrash metal from the 80s before going out drinking on a Saturday night, and you get this and Razor, and you just get loads of Sacrifice and all this stuff, you know. And it's just the energy of a whole movement of people around about the same time, all subconsciously trying to push and do the same thing, you know.
Absolutely. Sacrifice is another great band.
Yeah,
of
course.
Let's turn the monster. Don't forget to get a good shot of the monster there.